awesome thing to do. You know, I'm my greatest supporter. And Andre's like, yeah, I thought this deck, the top was really, really cool. So
yeah, why not?
I'm going to play it again.
Yeah, we did mention the Shifter as the first card activated by Andre, but is he going first or second? Obviously, it seems like he should be going second, and unfortunately for him, this is not quite the matchup that you want to draw a Shifter in.
Yeah, it can be a little frustrating for the Labyrinth deck because of all the furniture pieces needing to send cards to the graveyard. However, if you can just chain them to Shifter, so it's really not the end of the world. So maybe it even hurt Andre more than Gabriel. This can be a bit of a rough matchup. If your opponent's got all their traps, they can just use any of them as and when during the battle phase.
It could have been a quick one, because as many Tenpai duelists are, he is maining Lightning Storm and Feather Duster, but doesn't seem like those have been picked up. But it's the one copy of Magnamut, which is actually really strong against the Labyrinth version that Gabriel is using, but he's going to use it on his own Shifter instead.
Yeah, I like the, you know, slow rolling. Maybe he's just slow rolling the Feather Duster. Probably not, because he's gone to the battle phase. But yeah, it is a bit of a shame, but I guess it's sort of nice that the Shifter always gives you a target for your Bystials if needs be. I was going to say maybe he drew it for turn, but he might have just had it in his hand, because Gabriel didn't ever put any monsters on the field, so it's never been a quick effect. This Chandra, I'd be very surprised if it resolved.
Absolutely.
But Gabriel does have to have something here. It's quite a sneaky effect, right? Because you can activate it, and then if you attack with it, and if your opponent tries to destroy it, then you can just chain its effect, and that's very, very threatening, because you can summon the Ascendant Tenpai Dragon here, which would prevent Gabriel from using any effects during the battle phase. So Gabriel has to stop this Synchro Summon from resolving. Otherwise, he will be not able to use any cards, and I don't think Andre will need much more of an invitation than that.
Yeah, at the same time that it's not enough to win the game on his own, so he could just allow it, and obviously can be quite risky if there is a Sangen Kaiman, but
yeah, that sounds like very, very dangerous to me. You got a bunch of trap cards, but let's see how it goes. You don't really want to use a cannon here. Maybe that's what Gabriel is debating. But it feels so dangerous just to turn off all of your own cards. But as you say, there is only the one trick, which is the Kaiman. But like if they have it, you do just lose, right? You can't use any card effects. You're already going to take 3,000.
Pretty much.
I think Gabriel's doing the math on the cannon here, I'm guessing.
But it's a different kind of
cannon. It's the wrong cannon.
Different one, and actually end up putting everything face down. We could still see the Kaiman if he wishes, and yup, it was in there. So good spot not using the impermanence column.
Oh yeah, it's always important. So here we're going to see
this is still a lot of damage.
2. Will it go through?
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting from Gabriel there, because I mean, he had to use the impermanence, but like, why didn't he just start with the cannon, right? Like, you just have the impermanence set, because you can't, if you chain Chandra, then whatever you synchro summon will get set, so the dragon not so threatening if it's face down. I feel like the impermanence just, you just took 2,500 extra damage from the Magnamut, and
I do agree, and now this is still a lot of damage, and although we mentioned the Shifter is not amazing against Labyrinth, the fact that those cards were banished can be quite relevant for Lovely as well, because an easy reset on the Daruma is actually quite huge against Tenpai. But we do have the Ardron Lady, which is nice to at least survive.
Yeah, what do we do about this lady, right? It's quite big. I mean, Andre seems to know exactly what he wants to do. I'm wondering if it'll be a Black Rose Dragon.
Yeah.
In defense? Come on. It's Tenpai. You've got to put it in attack.
It's going to be a clear unless Gabriel stops it. Those are all of its cards. And it doesn't even help due to the Shifter that if you have something chainable, then you can use the lady, because the card is still going to get destroyed and then banished. So
come on, you can't have to read. This is the most classic Yu-Gi-Oh card. You got to know. You got to know what's about to happen here. Black Rose Dragon. I mean, it does have other effects, I guess, but
Yeah, you can see Gabriel.
it looks like it's gonna resolve.
It's gonna resolve, and
Oh wow!
wow.
Because Andre's still got a few cards left, and he's gonna get the Magnum Search in the end phase too.
Yeah, this is big again. Very well played by Andre. Experienced with the deck, and
Look at the Ice Dragon's Prison just got. We were thinking, you know, that Shifter not doing too much, but how are you going to use Ice Dragon's Prison under Shifter?
yeah,
You could have actually chained that to the.
to just take the shifter.
Yeah, the Shifter. Take the Shifter, stop the Magnum coming down, but then Magnum would still be there forever. Gabriel not really got a lot going on here.
Ooh, top deck. I think that might have been the cannon.
Did he just
actually? But yeah, doesn't attack with the lady and just takes safe.
Do you like
Wow.
that? Not a I'm a bit confused.
Wow, that was yeah. I mean, obviously, with the Hydra we knew, but this is rough. Tenpai wants to play in a simplified game state, of course, because every single one card can easily get you game. And yeah, just look at the amount of advantage that he's able to generate.
Not hugely sure I like summoning monsters in defense mode. I know it's a habit for a lot of players, but if you're playing against the Daruma Cannon, you kind of want to keep them in attack, because that way you don't have to switch them to attack before your battle phase, and if you get cannon, then you can
Good
just flip
point.
them up again. Whereas, I mean, it is just a habit, but it's very unlikely to come up, but you do have to watch out for it sometimes.
Yeah, that's a great point. And now, however, there is not a response from Gabriel. So we do set up the one copy of Summoning.
Yeah, this is really threatening now, right? Because you can make your big Transcendent Dragon in the main phase, and then by the time you get to the battle phase, it'll be too late for Gabriel to do anything about it. So it's kind of a 1-2 punch of protecting your monsters during the main phase and then switching off all of your opponent's effects during the battle phase. I don't think he's playing anything sneaky like Solemn Strike to prevent a Synchro Summon or something like that.
No, it's a very straight up deck. A lot of free offs in the deck.
I just want to see like somehow the third Chandra getting hit by Bottomless Trap Hole, and then all of his Chandras will be banished. That would be a sad way for it.
And he actually is stopping Andre here. The problem is the summoning is there, so it's not too easy. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering what kind of card could stop, like what trap cards can get around it. Like just the skill drain, maybe.
And the Bident coming down. And yeah, I think Gabriel has seen enough. Our players have drawn their hands. And I think, yeah, he let Andre go first.
One thing about Dominus Impulse is it's quite interesting. In Labyrinth, it's actually really relevant that it's a trap and not a monster. Because on the one hand, Ash Blossom cannot be used if your opponent has a Lovely on the field. But then if they have a Lady and you chain Dominus Impulse to a trap, then they can just chain their Lady to your Dominus Impulse. So it's kind of trades getting better for one thing and getting worse for others. And we start with a Shifter.
We start with Shifter, to which we could answer with a Stovey or a Chandelier. And I think Gabriel is debating about it.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying. It stops Gabriel from being able to wait until the end phase to do anything. Anything would have had to be done straight away. Here we see the cutest Tenpai.
It's gonna have a reader there. Yeah, it's mostly a one-off in the deck. Sometimes they play it, sometimes they don't. But yeah, it's kind of like an extender. As you can see here, you can get the Chandra and then you can special summon it if you want. But in this case, you go for Roku.
Yeah, I'm interested in like keeping in the Shifter. It doesn't really feel like it does an awful lot against Labyrinth, but I suppose it depends how much of the engine they draw.
But we do see the impulse that we have talked about. But again, we open the Magna mode. Wow. Just like in game one.
Yeah, Seal, you can just make it still works under Shifter.
Yeah.
You can still bounce, still summon. Less of a good target now that the Magnum is gone, but still something.
Maybe that Kokimeru might have come in, and that's, yeah, it's going to be quite annoying. And he gets Chandra, yeah. I mean, the usual suspects. Obviously feels nice that you had this exchange of Impulse and Magna. And now pressure is on Gabriel. He doesn't seem happy with what he's got, but let's see if he's also one of those players that exaggerates with the reactions or...
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of cards that you could have drawn for turn that you just wouldn't be able to use under the shifter, like the Arias or any of the furniture pieces, all requiring you to send to the graveyard rather than just discard. So we will see. I mean, you do have to do something. You can never just pass against the Tenpai deck. Obviously, it's most famous for just taking advantage of players with weak starts.
And yet, not a surprise, we are sending some... is it gonna be just a couple? No, seems like he has at least 3.
Gabriel playing some mind games here, I think, because, I mean, do you like, if you have lots of cards to set, I'm kind of a fan of, you know, you just kind of shuffle them up in your hand and set it to try and give away nothing.
Sure.
But I suppose if you want to, like, go the extra level and sort of mind game your opponent, then why not?
Yeah. Sometimes obviously it's not too relevant in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, but I do like to shuffle them in a way where I don't even know where.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to
yeah.
know. If you don't know, your opponent can't know. Taking a trick out of Yugi's book, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely. And wow, okay, we get to resolve Pydra. Are we going for the summoning?
It looks like a
No,
Hyman from
Hyman.
the little edge of the card I can see. Amazingly, well, not amazingly, but Black Rose Dragon is a fire, so, you know,
Yep.
if you have the Kaiman, it can protect your Black Rose Dragon and help it resolve, which is
Why fix it?
kind
if
of
not
crazy,
broken?
yeah. The seal, though, just not doing a huge amount, can only be used on the opponent's turn. It's not really an easy way of tributing it in the Tenpai deck.
Yeah, and I think Gabriel is considering his options now for that Black Rose.
Just put the fear into him, because now he's going to have to
Yeah.
react somewhat.
Maybe it's time to bring those Starlight Roads back.
Exactly. Going to be playing that 2011 Time Wizard format in modern Yu-Gi-Oh. Surely they must be better than something like Starlight Road now. You just have Waking the Dragon, right? And
Is it better though? I mean,
oh, yeah, you summon something ridiculous from your extra deck,
maybe.
surely. Like an yeah.
and yeah, I think again asking for confirmation, and this is not too easy to deal with, unless you have like an answer once they actually go for you know, the play. Because once they Black Rose, it's easier to deal with it. But like now, as we've seen in the previous game, if you try to do something, they can just chain them, and it's almost impossible to interact.
Oh,
But wow,
a Link summon
yep.
in Tenpai?
That's a tricky one, and it's actually gonna resolve right away, which is gonna be huge. Getting rid of both Tenpais and leaving this princess.
Yeah, I mean, the Princess restriction actually isn't too bad for the Tenpai deck, right? Because most of their monsters are fire. The Black Rose Dragon is fire. So, shouldn't be the end of the world. But, yeah, it's still a pretty nasty trap there. The Ice Dragon's Prison, preventing the summon and then banishing a monster to boot. Interesting, Andre. Like, I guess your opponent having face down spells and traps, unless you're, like, really used to it and you know kind of what they are,
Yeah.
you know, as to whether just go to the battle phase and start attacking or not, and like force them out that way rather than making link summons, can make a big difference into how much value your opponent gets out of them.
And I wouldn't have aided that Black Rose right away. Obviously, he was trying to go for this, but fell into this Ice Dragon Prison. So once we get to see what Gabriel is holding to, we can also consider this, whether it was just, you know, a play where he could just immediately go for the Black Rose and still just seal the game afterwards. With Kaiman, let's see, the second one was...
This time, I guess the Imperm is a bit safer. Oh.
Trap trick, so that also wouldn't have helped. Well, now Gabriel is giving up on his other face down, essentially.
All but one. So I guess this will have to be the Daruma cannon, most likely.
Yeah. But he already took the damage from the princess as well. So that feels good if you're Andre.
Yeah, it's one of those decks where you start counting your opponent's life points a lot more than
I mean, it's unbelievable to me that you can activate Power of Prosperity and just still, you know, TK. So, yeah, 5,000 is not a lot.
So I guess Andre has used the Sangan Kaiman, so Daruma Cannon is more or less guaranteed to end the turn, unless there's some cross-out designator, you know, advanced technology going on. I feel like doing it for the dimensional barrier is probably enough.
Yeah. Even that is a bit debatable, if you ask me. But
is Gabriel trying to figure out if he can resolve an equation cannon? That's what I'm feeling like. He seems to be doing a lot of counting.
no,
It's quite tricky against this deck, right? Because they only have very low-level monsters.
okay. We are reading our own impulse.
He's maybe checking if you can impulse the Chandra, which I don't think you can. Because unless a card says otherwise, you normally can't use it in the damage step.
And yeah, after a long consideration, it is indeed that Daruma, which sure keeps you alive, but at the end of the day, you don't mind that princess is going to the graveyard.
And then it's Gabriel just... he's got a couple of cards left, actually. I think... how many cards did he set? Like 4?
No, it was 3, and then the impulse, so you should have 2 cards left.
Yeah, that's a good number for your Labyrinth. Enough to use a Stovey Torby or a Chandraglear.
Which he cannot do the shifter. So we could see that now, and yeah, that's exactly the case. We go for Stovey, and that's great news. So he did have a second copy of Trap Trick. This could be big.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was thinking, like, there's just no way you can ever use 2 Trap Trick in a turn, so it makes sense to hold that as your last card to discard. I'm wondering if we can have a read that, like, Andre's set is very likely to be a Dominus Impulse of his own, because I don't see what else would have been face down for so long. Maybe Impermanence.
But yeah, it's not even guaranteed. I guess you might not have enough cards to take out, but yeah, it's one of those cards that you could consider taking out as well. And yeah, I mean, it's big welcome, and it's mostly gonna depend whether this is able to resolve a... Wow, it was a Cosmic. He I think, played really well with it, just keeping his patience and waiting for this. And this is huge, because this is a +1 Cosmic, essentially, unless Gabriel is able to find a way to recover the Stovey. And he draws into just 1 card. It's a trap. He passes, and this is big.
Yeah, here comes Chandra again. You only set it face down, so you're going to have to deal with it for a second.
Taking it. Wow.
I think taking a hit from Chandra is like a sign of very bad things to come.
Yeah.
So if you can't stop this, then how are you going to stop what more is coming? I mean, it may be Dimensional Barrier,
yeah,
but...
I was thinking about Barrier as well. He already attacked with that, but... Yeah.
Yeah. It's the Tenpai mindset, you know.
Yeah.
Attack, attack, attack.
And okay, effect the barrier was picked up, but it doesn't do much because you can just chain the other one. This could be just over here, and it is.